Hi, this is Elliot Wave Sage. I want to do a live stream real quick to do some Q&A while I have a chance and just give you my thoughts on how the week traded and where we're going to head next week. And like always, this isn't financial advice. Always do what's best for you. So this market is very dangerous. It has a massive trap door that's ready to open at any moment. I mean, this market could, theoretically crash at any moment. Again, the big picture, this triangle still is not invalidated. Today, one of the interesting things we had happen today is this close in the SPY. You see how we broke out, but then we closed a week back into the triangle. That's very interesting. Technicals, okay? So the triangle pattern almost was invalidated, but not yet. Not yet. So this triangle is a false breakout. This is actually super bearish, guys. I cannot explain. The market needs a weekly close outside this triangle to invalidate this triangle. So the triangle is not invalidated. So while I'm mentioning trading bounces, which is fine, but you don't need it. We could be starting our journey down next week, and of course we'll bounce, right? If we get 5 waves, we'll have a nice bounce. This is tradable, but then you get the crash wave after that bounce, the wave that the bears really want, this one. So this is the setup going into next week. This type of look into the market. This is the setup. Now, the bullish setup's a little different. The bullish setup would be a close outside the triangle, invalidates the structure of the triangle, and by doing that, then we have to introduce something where you have 3 waves up, a connector, and then you get another push higher for another pretty significant drop, and then another pump higher. That's essentially what the dollar looks like it wants the market to do. Now, I'm not going to redo my labeling, and then start saying we're going to have a 430 target on the SPY before we crash. Not just yet, but the dollar does make you lean that way. But the way we closed today makes you scratch your head a little more. So I'll give you 2 alternatives that are equally possible, but I think on Monday and Tuesday we'll get our answer. Are we going to go to 430 and crash? Are we going to start to crash next week? We'll pull back next week, bounce, and we really start to crash probably the first week of May. We'll have a massive, May would be a massive sell-off month. So it's one or the other. This scenario would be more towards the end of May, the massive sell-off. Delays the pain. So here, guys, here it is. So we're in the triangle. We close. So it's a valid triangle still. We could really be done. Now, if we could come out of the triangle and invalidate the triangle, then like I said, you have a W, an X, and now you need a Y. This first leg should finish next week, and then we'll get a pretty healthy correction. Probably fill this gap to 396, and then we'll rally again up to 430 in a massive pump, a massive face ripping short squeeze for the grand finale, and then a super crash. That's what the dollar seems to be setting us up for, something like that, because we broke this low here the other day. That changes this setup. So the setup in the dollar could be this, and I'll show you where you get this correction, right? The way I'm talking about it, if you look at the dollar, so we close outside the triangle early next week. The dollar finishes this move in this 5 wave move down, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We bounce in B. This will be a healthy correction across the market. Probably fill that 396 gap, and then you get a face ripping rally to 430 to finish the pump. And then when the dollar trades down here at 92, the market could have a massive crash. like we've never seen before. That's the setup. That's what it seems like we're going to get based on the new data. So how do you trade this and play it? Well, I think this trade is valid. You're still in the downtrend in the dollar in the wave 5 as long as you're below this trend line, downtrend line right here I have right here. So as long as we trade in here, so today is just another wave 2, we should be again getting more downside in the dollar. So what does that mean? Gold and silver are dip buys if you're a trader. Gold and silver are dip buys unless the dollar closes outside this downtrend line. If we close outside the downtrend line, then the A is done, and then we're getting the massive correction to 396 now. So this is how I think I would trade the market, looking at it is buying commodities, or more specifically gold and silver, when as long as we're still in the downtrend. Once the downtrend breaks, then I would be looking for bearish setups and just holding the short positions, and then looking for the B to end, and then you get a massive everything pump here, and that's the dollar setup. Now, what is if the triangle is done and we're about to have a massive crash in the next week or 2 weeks? What's the dollar pattern there? My guess is if that were to happen here, then I would look at the dollar as a flat pattern. I would change the label. And again, this is it's not ideal, but it's not, I can rule it out where you have a massive ABC and it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in fact, it's finished right here. And you want divergence because it's a flat, because this would be a flat pattern correction. So that would fool a lot of traders that are pumping, that are FOMOing in gold and silver. That's why I say if you're going to dip buy gold and silver, you need to do it along this downtrend, because once this downtrend breaks, then you could either be in that flat or you could be in this bounce and B, and that means it's going to be a much bigger correction in that gold and silver instrument and the market. So very interesting. So the market is very confusing. It's very dangerous for both sides trying to find that perfect entry. So trade the chop is really the idea, but if you have your conviction, you can hold, but you got to have great money management if you're a bear, and you got to have ways to hedge dips that come in with longs and trade in and out of those longs to minimize, the pain. Because if we get this, if you're short SPY here, you in this plays out, you may have to hold all the way to 430. That's a lot of loss potential, but there's a lot of trading opportunities in between that, so you can offset that. Now, again, the bear dream is it's done. The triangle is complete and validated, and we get a massive crash next week. It's possible. I know people don't think it's not possible. It's possible. The VIX is trading in a very dangerous area. Now, it did break this downtrend line, but we've broken it before, and it's been saved. So it doesn't really necessarily matter, but it's in an extreme area. It is so stretched to the downside. The stochastics need to reset. The daily, the 4-hour, the 45-minute, the 15-minute, and almost the weekly. You almost have every stochastic oversold and needs a reset. So what do you think is going to happen in the next couple weeks? Do you think you should be buying, or do you think you should be selling? I mean, come on. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen? So that's what started, I think, today. So we get this correction. So here we are in the triangle, and now the triangle will either finish and people will be pretty much obliterated, boom, or it closes outside of it, invalidates it. We get up to maybe 418, 419, and then we get a pretty big pullback all the way back down, close this gap at 396, and then we rip out to 430, and then we get the crash. But as you know, guys, I keep saying we get a crash. It doesn't. Whatever is happening here, we always end with a crash. That's how, because of the way we bottomed back in October. So it doesn't really matter. But I do like this triangle. It's so elegant. It looks so good. I was really hoping that it would play out, but it did not get invalidated. And then if you look at the Dow today, what was interesting in the Dow, a false breakout, and boom, back in. So again, the Dow tried to break out of its downtrend line and got smacked back down. And here's the downtrend line since the all-time high, and we connect, and boom, we got smacked back down. So again, that's kind of bearish. That could start our next wave lower. So I'm just showing you what the charts say. I think the market's very treacherous for both sides until we can get some confirmation. But I do think in the long term, we're going to be trading towards the Q3 in these lower areas, no matter what. But there's a lot of euphoria, aggressive euphoria in the market right now. There's a lot of people that are so long and so happy. They're stupid happy, drunk on their profit. That is going to get taken away in the next several weeks, no matter what. Even if we do rally, we are due for a massive correction, or we're just going to crash and go to new lows. So that's what I was saying. We're either going to pump Monday and Tuesday and then correct and pump, or there is no pump Monday. It's just downhill from here and with acceleration and panic, and the VIX is set up for that. So, I hope, you rung the register. I hope you did. Because if we do get this little bit of a pump, and then we do correct, okay, you can trade that correction. You can trade that correction for this move higher like that. But if we don't, then the trade is to be short. Should have been short, like what I've been saying all week this week. So anyway, I'll go to your questions now, guys, and see how you guys are doing, man. PDD, yeah, PDD. I wanted to pull the trigger and buy that. I really, really did, but like I said, I'm so nervous that we're in this triangle, man, and there's no way China's gonna go higher. So I just can't bring myself to doing it. But maybe if it can go a little lower, maybe I'll dip my toe in it. But I mean, per my system, it's a buy right now. It's a buy right now. Now I'm looking at it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 4-hour, no divergence, perfect correction, perfect correction. The daily looks like it should be ready to break open here, right? Now, China trades with a weak dollar, guys, a weak dollar. So, the time China, you need to go back to the dollar and really understand what the dollar's trying to do. So if the dollar is going to come weak, okay, so maybe PDD is okay, but if the dollar is going to do this kind of spike here and then drop later, then PDD may have more downside. That's why I'm not like, even though if I followed my system blindly, I would buy it right now. I think it could go deeper, 60, 56. Perhaps touch the downtrend line. That would be a surprise. That would be 52. But I believe whatever move it's in the final swing. And then if you look, it should be supported at that point. But this is 5 waves up clearly, so we should get another push higher. At least one more push higher. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm just being more cautious on the long side, but this is the setup. So yeah, maybe if you could be patient, can get it down in the 50s, and maybe by extreme it comes to 53, like it did here on this wave 2. You see how it kind of capitulated. Perhaps we get the same fractal on this higher degree wave 2, and it capitulates down to 53. If it comes down here, I'm buying it. No matter the count in the SPY or whatever, I'm gonna buy it because this thing was pumping well while the SPY and tech were getting destroyed. This thing, so I'm gonna go long it. I think I want to wait a little bit more before I go into it though. I just not ready. But if you're aggressive trader, it could be there done. So this is where I always say, do what's best for you. Bowen. So guys, if you've ever followed me about Bowen, I've warned you about Bowen. Bowen is got massive event risk. If you are again just passively invested in long and not following the company, and you have a lot of money in it, you're one Bowen Max 737 disaster away from the company completely collapsing. I'm just telling you guys, you're one news event away from waking up, losing most of your money. And so this market is very sensitive to that new type of news with this company. So of course it sells off when there's a safety related issue on the Boeing Max. But I think it's not that devastating. So this is my count. So I had this before, 186. So if we can hit 186, you could try to dip by it here for that final swing higher. Again, kind of coincides with my theory of the pump, the final pump, where you get this correction and then you get another little rip higher, and then that's all she wrote. And when this is done, unfortunately, to me, this would just be an X, and Y would come back down all the way down here and probably break this low in March 2020. But I do think it's got a pullback and a pump coming, something like that. And I could be wrong, but do what's best for you. Tesla, I like to play that bounce play at 150 if we can get that. I think we're pretty much going to get that next week. Again, even if we open Monday and Tuesday outside the triangle, we pump to like 418, 419 SPY, and this 2 comes up. Maybe that 2 comes up like that. We're going to get a correction like I showed you. When we do, I want to buy it here for a trade. In a stop loss at 120. So I'm not a buyer here. This is the B wave mess. We could even still be in the B wave on Monday and Tuesday and pump more. It's just I think not ready for me to pull the trigger on at the moment. It's still in the downtrend. So you can watch the daily downtrend. You see that as long as it's below that line, it's still in a mini bear market. Once it breaks out of that line, then the correction should be over. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But I do think it's got more downside coming with the rest of the market. But again, if the triangle is done and we're just going to crash next week and everyone's going to be screwed that went long, it's just going to, this 2 is done. We're going to go down and just going to go down. It's going to come right into the 130s or 120s. And then the SPY is going to be traded at 370, 360. That's what's going to happen. Now, if the triangle is invalidated, that means either 2 or B is going to bounce, but then we'll still correct down like this, and then we'll get a massive pump and then a crash. So that's why this area is unknown yet. So I wouldn't trade it here. It's not tradable, in my opinion, right here. So, okay, Solana. Yeah, how's that? We haven't looked at that in a while. So, look, guys, I gave you guys that dip buy right there. Look, the wick actually hit the exact number. Isn't that something? Right there. And then, boom, we got the wave 3. And this is just the first wave. Yeah, this thing's about to rocket out of here, guys. The altcoins I think are gonna run. So I think it's that. You see this pattern here, like an inverse head and shoulders. It's like ugly. Perhaps we get a bigger shoulder. Maybe it does something like that. So I guess you got to be careful the two doesn't kind of play out sideways and get something like that. That's probably more realistic, but it's bullish. It's bullish. Yeah, maybe that's the more realistic 1 2 1 2, you know, something like that, and then the 3 of 3 move out of this, and the extension out will get you to somewhere around $47. So far this has been trade. Look, we called the buy here, good bounce, pulled back, called the buy here, good bounce. So this one I've been doing pretty well, calling it. So my call is pull back into like this, and then rip, then a massive move, pump out, you know, out of this. That's my call on that. Maybe let's look at the bigger picture. It may even be a even bigger. Yeah, it's almost like an even bigger inverse head and shoulders kind of looking thing. Where's the next resistance out of that? Yeah, right to 47, right to this area. So that'll probably create a horizontal neckline. See that? So this will probably pump up and create a traditional inverse head and shoulders. That'll be the head, and then you'll get a pullback in this, like, and then out. So something like you know, play out like that. And then this whole thing will correct, and then out. So that's how I look at Solana, guys. So good luck with that. All right, that's enough of that. Ethereum, you know, we had that going higher, and it sure did. It caught up. The sell area I had was at 2,300. We're still not there, so it's still gonna go higher. I mean, this is the sell area. We're not there yet. It was really lagging behind, and I was worried about it. But let's take a look at the account. But it's clearly in a 3 of 3, so that's not a 3 anymore. So it's a 1 2 1 2. So it's in a C leg, but it's in the wave 3 of 3. So this has to play out. So it could see this area 2,700, 2,600 before it risks being done in this X wave. And but you know, we may not come down like I'm showing here. If this is the bottom, this would be a 1 2 3 4 5 pullback. So I wouldn't really worry too much about the longer. I would just trade what's in front of you. What's in front of you is higher. It's higher. And then when we're here, look for pullback. So Bitcoin, I think, will go higher in this area. I think it's going to see higher levels in this area. I don't think it's ready to pull back yet. Like, I don't think gold and silver. I think gold and silver were dip buys. I think that's what I say. I think the dollar needs more downside. See that? And when the dollar has that downside, gold, silver, crypto will continue to run. And then when the dollar's here, then that should be the end of the move for the gold, silver, dollar. And then you should get a pretty big correction across the stock market here. Now, like I said, there is a surprise count where it's done here, and we start to crash. If we do that, then of course that means Bitcoin did top here, and that means ETH is in actually a much more bearish count, nothing like I have here. So that more alternative bearish count would put ETH in something like this, where the C is done, and it's not an ABC but a WXY pattern, and it missed the target, very bearish. That would absolutely bring us the prices down near the $600, $400 level if something like that were to happen. If this was like that, there's no reason to think that's the case yet, but a lot of the move is over. So if you are trying to play it, you're just going to have tight stop losses. So like here's a setup, for example. How would I trade? I'm trying to play some upside in ETH. Well, what I'll do is wait and buy a three-wave move. So here it is. So here's your first wave, your connector. So now look for that next wave down, which it looks like it may be happening now. And maybe I'll buy it here for a trade at 2020, 1990. But I have a stop loss at 1980, 1960. So I'll buy it here and try to play that bounce up into this area, and then I'll dump it and just play that. Nice, 10% gain if you use leverage more than that. So, but I would wait to buy it here. Now, if we stop out, then the bear case could be alive, and then I'd be really worried that we're not leaning towards the bear crash case. But I don't think that's the case. I think there's more upside. I think the more likely path for the market is higher with more dollar weakness later, more dollar weakness, and then a good healthy correction drop, to the SPY 396. Bitcoin probably goes back to 22,000, and then we get another big massive pump later, and then that's it. Nvidia. Let's take a look at Nvidia here. Nvidia started breaking down. Yeah, it's not looking good, but again, the market's tricky, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, cool, let's break it down. Let's short," and then you get all this dumb money shorting, and they just get themselves squeezed to new highs. So let's take a look. So you have a 1, a 2, and you see how you broke that low here. So you want to see 3 waves with the divergence erased. You don't have that, not on the 45. Now the 4-hour you do, and the 4-hour stochastic is turning up. So you do need to be careful of a dip buy, right? A dip buy. Let's look at the 45 stochastic. Okay, so it looks like it may have a little more downside short term, but it has a dip potential that you need to be really cautious about, and we're not getting good separation. Oh, see, we just missed that at 2. Very dangerous to buy this here. So maybe the trade in Nvidia, and again, this is for the aggressive trader. Market buy 267, stop loss at 262, and you're trying to play for one of those squeezes, dumb money bears squeezed, and then you just dump it on them at 280 as you make a marginal new high up in this area, and then you get this bigger sell-off later. And then this is 4, like this is, or I'm sorry, yeah, this, just my degrees off by 1 degree. So my thinking is it could be this to a new high, as long as this holds at 262. If 262 breaks, then it's back to a bit more bearish count, and then I would look for it like as a 1-2, 1-2. And then it could really have the bottom drop out of it, and then you're back to this kind of pattern where we head down to like 236. So this is an important level right here, I think, to hold if you're trying to trade it. So it could bounce. Could have a bounce coming. Yeah, see this leg is over. So if I cared to trade Nvidia, I would just market buy it here, put a stop loss at 262, and let it ride and see where it goes. My guess the way the market's been squeezing the weak hands of bears is it'll just squeeze up, make a marginal new high, and then have a massive dump. My guess. is how that would be. That's how that will play out. And then if this breaks, then it's a 1-2, 1-2, and you'll get a 3 of 3 capitulation dump, and then A will be set A, and then you'll get a bounce, and then another failure later. All right. Okay, let's keep going with your questions. Let me see what you guys have. TMDX. Let me see here. Okay, I could just look at it, and typically that looks like a buy, right? I could see a 3-wave move, and it looks like it's close to being deep enough, almost. So it's a buy at 65.36 to $56 here. Let's look at the rest of the market. Let's look at the rest of the chart first. Oh yeah, that's a good chart. What is this guy? Transmedics. You see the divergence. So there's your first wave. Okay, so got a problem. So you got that weekly cycle broke. So that's not good. So what that is telling me, let me see here. This overlap, too much overlap. Okay, so that's 3. Yeah, so what will happen is it will come back up. You'll still have divergence. It'll make one new high in 5 and be done. So the easy money's over in this. I think it's going to be in a corrective sequence for a while now. But this is 4. And then you should get a 5th wave up like that. And, maybe make a new high up to 87 or somewhere. And then you're going to have a massive move down. That's going to correct the grand super cycle for this company. Something like that. So it's a dip buy, but wave 5s are really choppy and overlap, and the easy money's over. But it should go higher. Now usually wave 4s retrace to the 618. You see here that's a 786. So don't be surprised if it drops down to 55 here. Or the wave 4 plays in 3 in a bounce like this. This wave 4 does something a little different where you get, but I do think you'll get a bounce at least. So something like that. So just keep an eye on that. But that's how I look at this one. TMDX. TX, let's see this one, TGTX. All right, we already have that on here, so we just need to find it. Okay, so we were looking for a 5 and a pullback. Well, there's your pullback. There's your 5, right? And now it's in wave 3. So to me, let's take a look at the cycle. Not yet. It's in final wave 5. So I have to take a look at our labeling here a little bit. Let's get rid of some of this mess here. We can't see it, but I think it's this is your 4. That's your 5. That's your 3. And this is your 5. So something like that. So this whole sequence looks like it's over. So I would be looking for a pullback, a 3-wave pullback, a correction, back to 13. But massive opportunity to go long for the next wave higher, because it's a clear impulse, and then you could get this, a massive move higher after that. So that's how I'd look at this. But I do think this is because you see there's divergence here. Now, if it can erase this divergence, then it's a 1-2, 1-2, and then it's you're gonna have a massive breakout. But see, you have the divergence on the daily. Look, the daily stochastic is opening downward, just like the market. So it's gonna. I think it's over. I think the correction is gonna start any moment. And probably correct with the market as well. So now again, it could even go deeper because it's a wave two. It could really, be treacherous. It could do that. So, but I do think it's topping out, and you know, maybe it could go a little bit higher from here, but I think it's close to ending. Yeah, there's a little bit of divergence here. I would like to see one more high with 15-minute divergence to close this impulse out better. So it could make one more minor high and then really start the correction. So keep that in mind. Okay. I have to move on. I want to get to other people's questions. So SoundHound AI. What the heck is that one? That's a new one for me, man. SOUN, another AI company. All right. So it's one of these that's been in a bear market its whole life. It's been bearish its whole career, whole life. Looks like you have an impulse off the bottom, but this could be a flat, an A, B, C. So that doesn't really mean much to me. 1, 2, 3. Yep, that's a three-wave move. So the evidence appears to be that it's in an impulse off the low, like that. And then it looks something like this. So there is a dip buy opportunity here if you're brave enough and you have a stop loss. $238, $223, somewhere in this area. So maybe you put your stop loss at $1.98 and try to go long for this wave 3 out for some really nice upside potential, which could be $6-7, as high as $8 even. So that's a good one. Let me add that to our AI meme stock list that I've got going on here. Okay, thanks for that, JD. Yeah, JD's been really weak, and I don't want to buy it here because you have an impulse. See this impulse. This is an impulse down with a 1-2. So this is really bearish. So at first I've got to redo the count on this. So yeah, it looks like it's going to break the low. It's going to go down in an impulse. We're still in 2. Kind of unusual because a lot of the stocks in China bottomed, and this was so favored. I don't know the history, like the news on the company, but it is what it is. I just this low. We wanted this low to hold. So if you look, you have 3. So this is just a massive connector. So to me, what I'm looking at here, something like that. And if it's a Y, it needs to be a 3 waves. So it will stop here at this 3. You won't get a 4 and a 5. So I'll have to relabel this later. But the target would be 24.94, 11.44. Again, I mean, I don't know why it's so bearish, but it is what it is. Yeah, well, let me relabel that properly. But this is the chart now. Now we could still be in B and do a flat, but something like that. I mean, that's what it looks like. But if you look at this W, look how long that took to play out and how short. I mean, this could just be the first leg down. Again, I'm just giving you a hypothetical. And you could get something like this, like that later. Something like that, and that kind of matches up with the first leg. Okay. All right. Well, good luck. I mean, that's what it looks like it's about to. It's not. It's only confirmed once the low breaks, but it seems pretty likely it's about to break. So something like this is what I'm thinking. All right. I had to grab 300 at PDD. I couldn't help myself. Yeah, I actually had the order. I just couldn't hit enter. I didn't have the courage to enter it because I just was looking at where the market is, and I'm just like, nah, I'm not quite ready to do it, not yet. But if we could go a little lower, maybe I'll pull the trigger on it. Maybe I'll start accumulating it. But I do worry it could go down into these $50 area, low 50s. So just keep an eye. But I could be wrong. I was wrong about one of these other ones in the box. Yeah, some Mexican energy stock when no one wanted energy, and I was like, oh, I'm not buying that shit because I was like, no one's, and then it bounced like 40% or something. So the system I use worked. So I mean, if right, I mean, maybe in a couple weeks it's trading in 80 or 90 bucks. I mean, I don't know, but it is what it is. So yeah, if it drops to 52, I'm buying it for sure. Okay, so nat gas is bouncing, of course, but like I showed you guys, the commodity cold is telling you where nat gas is going to go. Unfortunately for your nat, I know everyone's like, oh, I want Boyle, and again, it's too many people trying to buy Boyle. So here we are. So I do think we're in this two wave, and when it finds support somewhere, that's probably not the right area to buy it anymore. So I think short term it's bullish because if I look at this, in fact, I think nat gas is about to pump, man. But this is a pump that will fail again, like the other ones. My guess. I think it's going to do so. And the reason is coal made a higher high here. This is three waves down. This is an impulse up. So once this corrects, we're going to come out to new highs and cold. More than likely hit 130. So that means nat gas is going to go lower. But before it finds a low, which means nat gas is going to trade into the lower buy area I had shown for investment. It's going to be painful for investors and traders, but if you're trading it, you got to understand there could be a big pump coming. We may start to see that today, actually. I think nat gas had a reversal. Boyle was up 8%, so I do think nat gas is going to reverse up to 2324 this area, and then I think it's going to get pushed down again. And then I do think it's going to hit these 1615, these lower levels down here. So I think it's going to do something like that. Okay, because that's what cold is telling you. So what that means for Boyle is I do think Boyle's going to pump for whatever reason, oversold bounce, and uh, it could jump up to like 420, may even squeeze even higher than that. May could even approach to 480. But I do think that's just another rally to sell it because of cold. If cold didn't make that higher high, I would be then this could be the bottom. But I don't think it is. I mean, I'm just being straight. I wish it was the bottom, but it just isn't the bottom in my opinion. Until cold finishes. So people are, what that tells me is people are still trying to buy Boyle, but it's just too much. It's like the bears. There's too many people trying to short the top, and they're very weak hands. They're easy to blow up. So that's what the bulls are doing. They're pushing them around, and that's what's happening with traders in Boyle. They're just they're easy. They're weak hands. They buy Boyle thinking, oh, it's going to go to 50 right like tomorrow, and then they get blown up, and then it just keeps going lower and lower. And eventually, when they all give up, that's when they'll find the bottom. But yeah, cold looks like to me it's ready to do this in the C, and that should be a pump for natural gas. Then I believe it won't break 41. I don't think it's going to break 41. If it breaks 41, then it's some kind of then we're some kind of two here. But I do think because we broke the high, it's a flat and it'll still find support. So maybe if you want to try to buy cold, 31, this area would be the area to do it right here. If for some reason the market decides to drop like that, and then Boyle pumps to like $6, something like that. So we'll see how it goes. But that's kind of where I'm thinking. But I do think it's going to go higher, cold. Then the TLT. So I thought the TLT had more upside before we had downside. If you've always been following me, I always said the TLT. I wanted to buy it lower in like this area. I do believe we'll get there. So I had it going higher here like this. So I'm still going to leave it this way. I don't think it's invalidated yet. Like that. If we push below 103, then perhaps we're in a different count, a more bearish count, and then this X is actually done like here, and we're going to head down to this $80 area. I do think that's what's going to happen. So if you go again to the 10-year or the longer term rates, I wanted to see this drop here into this area, but if we keep pumping higher, then it's finished, and we should see 4.6, 4.8, maybe as high as 5% for this wave 5 peak. So it's just something to keep your eye on. We did pump pretty good today. So this is the inflation trade. This is tech. This is energy up, technology down, and then the market's down. That's what this has been, right? Because isn't this like, look, October? These were the October lows, right? What have we done since the October lows? Gone higher. Well, what's going to happen when we go do this? Market's going to drop again. So this would be like the triangle is done and the market's going to crash to break the October lows. That's what this is here. I think this is a better look at it, and then this comes later. But do what's best for you. I'm not trading it. It's too many options. HYG, I haven't looked at it. Someone posted something about HYG. Oh, it's so bullish, guys. And I'm like, is it really bullish? Yeah, see, it's not bullish. Look, it's in the short area. It hit the short area, It didn't break that high either. So it's going to struggle here to go higher. Look, 1 2 1 2. So it's in a short area. Now, if it could break 77, well, yeah, then it opens up more upside. This would be more upside in the market more than likely. So it's it's not invalidated yet, but it seems like it wants to get rejected here in a wave 3 down. So that'd be pretty risk off. Let's go to the higher time frame. Daily cycle needs to reset. 4-hour does too. Weekly cycle, nothing you can learn. So the 45-minute is oversold. So yeah, maybe the better play would be something like that, because the 45-minute cycle is going to take it higher, I think. So I think it's like that then, and then short it here. I think it's that then. So that's how I play it, and then you could try to short that in there if you care to, or know that when it hits that, the market's in danger of a pretty significant drop down. Something like that. Okay, ING and Filecoin. All right, I'll take a look. We had those all charted. Those two are charted. Again, looks like our chart worked out on ING. We never got that flat here. So just so bullish. Yeah, it's just so bullish. So it still should still grind higher from here. Yeah, it's no divergence, so it's clearly doing pretty well. People want it. So you see, if that's the all-time high, when an altcoin breaks an all-time high and goes to blue skies, it can boom like to unimaginable levels. So this is pretty close. This is pretty close. So let's look at Filecoin. I think Filecoin has got way more to, it's way down. A lot of overhead resistance. So I think I think that I would go with ING. You see, look at all the overhead resistance. These are all the trapped sellers. Yeah, I would say absolutely ING. Too many trap sellers here. This is going to be hard for it to ever come back to that level and break it. But is it bullish? Let's see here. Yeah, that's like a flat correction. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could try it as a flat, but it's not perfect. So it looks like it's about to pump though. I mean, so if I'm a trader, you could be about to have a 3 moment in Filecoin here with your stop loss at 520. High reward, low risk, guys. High reward, low risk in Filecoin right now. Now, again, like I said, there's a lot of overhead resistance, so it's going to find sellers. So it's a trade. Probably could get to 10 easily to this here. It's $11 here. That's probably where it will go. I mean, I don't see it going to 18. That's where the next cluster of resistance is right here. But I mean, I'm willing to bet anything it's going to hit $11. So to finish this sequence. Now, if this stop gets blown out at 5, whatever, then I would dump it, because then it's still in this 2 wave. So, all right. AEHR I lost track of that. I hadn't looked at that in a while because I knew it still had more. It still had to play out more for me. Let me go to this requested stocks. I think it's up here. Okay, so regardless of the count, I know it's a flat, so I want to see it drop more. I want to see it drop to this area, or break this 23 somewhere in this area. So I'll just draw the box. I want to see it somewhere there. So that's where I want to buy it, right here. And since it's a flat, it needs to be a 5-wave move down. So you have an A, a B, and now you're in C. C has to be in 5 waves. So you'll look at this and you'll see, oh yeah, here's 5 waves, right? I don't, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this should be on your watch list for next week, guys. Right there. That's the setup. So if that plays out, massive profit opportunity ahead of you. And then you would have benefited from all those weak hands dumping. But I do think it's got one more dump coming. Yeah, I wouldn't get too greedy. I mean, if it gets down to these lower area, this 23, 24, I mean, you're just going to have to try to pull the trigger or you could miss the move too. So I'll be careful, like being too greedy. Let's look at the trend line. You see how the technicals line up? Look at the trend line. It lines up perfectly with the buy area. Look, see, there's the trend line, there's your buy area. So right there, there's your confluence right there. You buy that there, it's almost like guaranteed money for you for a bounce. And more than likely, the bounce will be, when it's all said and done, more than 20% trade opportunity. And if you get to new highs, then you really, took someone's position and you're benefiting. Because what happened here is a lot of bulls fold it, but they don't know. See, a lot of people that don't know Elliott waves are just so confused, and they dump it scared. But it's just a flat, which is that's what flats do. And once you know it's a flat, then you can, with confidence, you can either hold through it, knowing what game you're being played. This is the game they're playing, or you could just wait and buy it and benefit. But it's typically when flats end, they V-bottom out and they rip out. So anyway, so that's how I would do it. Stop loss, I would say some probably at 17. But I would be surprised if that breaks. I was looking, I just saw there's a big gap here on the daily. I mean, it doesn't have to fill, but I think that's also maybe a watch out. It's in our buy area, the gap. Right, so keep an eye on that too. So anyway, somewhere in this vicinity. Would I buy it here or no? I won't. Where can I go to ask questions during your regular videos? The only way is live streams like you're on now. So if you have a question, just ask it and you'll be good. Or on my Twitter, you can reply to one of my posts with your question and I'll try to answer it. Let's take a look at Litecoin. Yeah, it all depends on where things are going, but let's see if it's invalidated. So Litecoin hit the short area and literally to the penny, reject it. So it's in a dangerous spot. If it could take out this high at 105, then it's negated. Then there's no 20 coming. It would be actually really bullish because then you should get another swing higher. This 4 would overlap the 1. It'd be a different count, and the count would go to a 1-2-1-2 on a higher degree, send you up for like a rocket out of here. So actually, that's pretty bullish look. If I see something like that, I would probably want to be more aggressive in buying it, to be honest with you, if I see that bullish setup. But until then, it's bearish till proven otherwise. And look, it got rejected exactly where I would have expected it to. So, I don't know. My take is, again, it all depends on which scenario do you believe. If you believe next week the triangle is done, the dollar fooled everyone with a flat, and we're going to get a massive market crash, well, then this is the count I'm showing you is going to happen. If you don't believe that we're going to get more upside and a correction, then we should break this high, pull back, and then rip out of that for the final high in the market. So I guess we don't know. So I would say you could try to short it, but I would be very careful with that. Maybe stop out of your short if you break 105, but it's not invalidated yet. So that's how I look at this for now. Visa. Visa. Let's see. The financials are correct and higher, but it's going to fail like the rest of the market. So think of the financials as an opportunity to short. Okay, so Visa, we had the buy here, and it's been pretty well off the buy. But now what is it going to do? So you need to see an impulse off the bottom. Now you see how you broke that high off of a correction move? That's pretty bullish, actually, for Visa. It looks like, let's go to the 4-hour. So that's definitely a 1-2 right here. And that corrected the whole cycle. And this had a little bit of divergence. That's too short. This could be a run-in flat type pattern, but I'm not gonna call it that. I think you just have to call it like, see, this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So maybe that's where the top of it is, and an A, B, C. Tough structure, but because the high broke, right? Or it didn't break. See, looking at it from this view, we didn't break the high. Okay, so Visa has to break 238. If it does that, then this is a major low. And actually, that's pretty bullish for the stock market. So it's got to stay below this level. And if I look, this looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, right? So it looks like an impulse. So it seems to me that we should be heading lower. And then this is a connector. And then this is some kind of ugly WXY structure. So so that would bring you down to 159 into this area. This is probably more likely. Now, if we break that high, it changes everything. Could it be a big connector here? No. No, this is the wave. So see, it's really weird. TradingView, see, it's got an error because look, this shows it's higher. You see that? So I'm not sure. The data is tough on this. So I think Visa, I can't analyze it because look, TradingView shows that it went higher, but then on the 4-hour, it doesn't show that. See that? So there's some screw up in TradingView. It's not showing the price right. So if this is right, then I would label it this way. So we'll see. If it breaks the high and negate, then I would say it's going higher. Baba going back to 80. I don't know. I haven't. Let's see. If Baba's like JD, then the answer is yes. Yeah. I don't like Baba because it's gonna split and all that now. So nah, it's okay. It looks okay. Divergence at the peak. Yeah, it's bullish. And look, it's got a massive inverse head and shoulders. So Albaba's different than JD. I don't know why, but it is. So, 1, 2, 3. Maybe China's going to pump, guys. PDD and Baba are going to pump. I mean, we got this gap. Yeah, it's tough. If we break this low at 93, then it's an impulse down for sure. And I won't. Then the two's going to go deeper. Then it could go into the 80s and fill the gap here. Yeah, see, it's got to hold. So it's got to hold this low right here at 93.63. It has to hold that. If it breaks that low, then it's going deeper. But I'm pretty sure the 79 is going to hold. So tough to say. Maybe it bounces and fails later. NG broke the low this morning. Yeah, well, natural gas actually ended the day it pumped, so it fooled people. It ended the day with a pump, I believe. Yeah, see it up 5%. See how it fooled people? So I don't know if you saw that at the end of the day, it reversed hard. I think it's gonna it's in this two wave, and it's gonna come up to 2324, 25. So I think it's about to have this, but I'm almost certain it's gonna fail and trade down to these lower areas now, 1615. But I believe we got a squeeze pump coming. Like that. Because that's what Cole's showing. Something like that. Shop. Yeah, how's Shopify doing? It's a connector. 3 waves down. It's got one more move down. So it's a dip buy, guys. This is a dip buy. At 33. We may see that next week. This area right here. If we break this low, then it's in a go to zero chart. Okay, guys, so you gotta understand that. So this low has to hold the connector where it went. It would be in a go to zero chart. It wouldn't be investable, in my opinion. This low has to hold right there. I do think we're going to test this area. We only see 3 waves up, so that's dangerous. That's a warning sign. We never got that 5th wave. So Shopify's dangerous, but perhaps it's a bit more complex correction. Maybe we get something like this and get that $50 area. So we go with that for now, something like that. Okay, something like that. That's what I'm thinking. The surprise would be that's done here. That's X. And then this is some like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and you get an explosion out, but it's not likely. Yeah, GDX will dump with gold. It probably dumped. I didn't look at it today. It probably dumped today with gold. Dumping. Yeah. See, I have it in the flat, right? Here's my sell. This is where I said to short it. It actually poked out of it a little bit. Watch the flat, guys, on this GDX. I mean, watch it. We'll keep an eye on that. Let's see. Yeah, it would have ended in 3 waves. It's opened up on the 4 hour. The day. Yeah, look, see, the daily is gonna hit it. The 4 hour is gonna hit it hard. So it's got a pretty healthy sell-off coming. If it doesn't do a flat, then it could be a 1-2, 1-2, come down to 29, 28, and maybe buy it against 26. But we'll wait and see how it plays out. We'll wait and see how it plays out. Thank you guys. AI going lower. Yeah, let's look at AI real quick. Yeah, then I'm gonna wrap it up in a minute. AI. Yeah, it's gonna break down. I've had it at 16. I'll be patient. This is the area I want it at. Again, called the flat, massive dump, and now we should get another massive dump to break this top end pattern. Boom. Probably come into the 15, 14 area. This is where I think it's headed. Right where I've got it. Okay. So Carvana. All right, I'll end on Carvana. Yeah, what is going on? It's been a long time since we looked at Carvana. Follow me. We tried to call the bottom in Carvana. We got close. We missed it by like 60 cents, but it definitely came off the lows pretty in a pretty healthy way. This was the reaccumulation area, and it's still in it. So, uh, you know, I think it's a dangerous stock because this is only 3 waves up here. It looks like, yeah, I wouldn't buy it. And this looks like impulsive on the way down, although you don't have divergence. So maybe we'll do this. Maybe W, X, Y, and then go to 0. And then it goes to 0. So as long as this low holds here at 630, it's bullish. As sad as it sounds, it's bullish. Above 630 is bullish. It could see 25. So I guess buy your lottery ticket. I mean, this is a lottery ticket play. It's either go to 0 or go to 25 here. It's one or the other. So I mean, it's a lottery ticket play. But I mean, if you're gonna buy it here for a lottery ticket, I would just stop out at $6.60, $6, and then just get rid of it. But you see, again, the daily is about to open up on you. The 4 hour, not much downside left, so it may chop around more. You may see something here where it goes like, down, but the 4 hour brings it up. Then the daily takes over and bam, wipes it out. So it's like, it's a mess in here. It's a mess. Maybe if I was trying to day trade it, I'd try to trade that. So wait for that dip. Buy it at 779. Buy it right here. And play a bounce and get out of it and dump it. So like, play something like, and then dump it right here. And just get out of it and just take some money and run. And not even try to play for the bigger bounce or whatever. Because it looks like the stochastics, right? The 4 hour will take it down, down to here, and then the 4 hour will bring it back up, and then the daily will eventually assert itself and bring it like crashing down. So I think that's kind of what I'm seeing on it. Something like this coming. Good luck on that. Oh, trade desk. Okay, yeah, but I have trade desk done, so I'll do trade desk. Trade desk I had. It's been one of the very very confusing structure, but it's not following the mega cap stocks, right? So this is my trade desk. I have a new graph on trade desk here. So I have a W, a triangle for an X, and then lower, back to Earth. So I do think we're in this triangle. I believe, again, 3 waves in each triangle, so it should be pulling back with this corral. Guys, like I said, now maybe there's a little more upside, right? Maybe I'll draw my line. Maybe it could go up to 62, 63, but a big drop I think is coming, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it come back to the $43 area here, but then bounce again, but not make it lower high, something like this. This is what I'm thinking, and it's a really tough structure to kind of figure out. But I'm the way when I look at this, it doesn't look bullish. This looks like a distribution top that eventually will run out of buyers and will capitulate lower. And I do believe we'll see the 20s. We'll be back and probably we could even test this area here later. It's one of the few tech stocks that really hasn't, like a lot of these growth tech have made a full circle, like full circle down. This one hasn't. It's been kind of holding up, but I do think it's going to succumb to the bearishness on the market eventually. So that's how I look at Trade Desk right now, something like that. So, all right, guys, that's all I've got. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes, and I may have a hard time doing updates. I'm traveling next week, but I will be on Twitter frequently. So.